Barton Popoff here from the Contrarians, back again with another edition of our little sub mini baby show that we have inside the Contrarians called Reliving Old Reviews is a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is where we look at an old album that's got classic over time, and we see, with the writer boots on the ground, whether they figured out, what this was about, how they would contextualize it to, what they could even compare it to, when nothing sort of sounded like a lot of these albums back then, and they became legendary over time. So I would like to thank the great Chris Jackson for sending me another batch of reviews to pop off about. And today we are going to be looking at a review from Melody Maker, June 3rd, 1978, by HD. This is, Melody Maker. So this is HD. This is very likely Harry Doherty, right? May he rest in peace. We lost Harry recently. He was a big Thin Lizzy expert as well. Interviewed those guys lots and lots of times. But so he's written a review of AC/DC Powerage. Let's see what he has to say and whether he gets it right. I think Harry will get it right. Harry was actually a really good writer. He's a really smart dude. Let's see. So he says, it's easy to tell the bluffers in the heavy metal stakes. It's the morons who have all the simple riffs, but none of the essential feel. AC/DC, I'm glad to say, have all the energetic feel that makes great hard rock bands. One listen to Powerage, their fourth album, and you just know they mean it. Definitely, they definitely mean it, and I like how he is including them in the heavy metal stakes, right? John Gaffney and I do an AC/DC podcast called Kicked in the Teeth. That's an audio podcast. You can check that out. Just Google it. All over the place, 40 places kind of thing. Very easy to find. But we recently did a Powerage episode, and I think we've done the one already on is AC/DC heavy metal or not. Pretty sure we did that one already. I know it was on our list. I argued that back then, for sure, back in 1978, they were one of the heaviest bands going. I mean, I've always talked about how Let There Be Rock was one of the very first albums where every single song was heavy on it. We loved that about that album, right? That and Rainbow Rising and the Sex Pistols album, and more or less Wobbly So, the first Motorhead, but certainly the second and the third Motorhead as well, right? Powerage was a little light. I remember getting it and loving it, but definitely it was not as heavy as Let There Be Rock. It wasn't wall-to-wall sizzling power chords sort of thing. But yes, Harry is including them quite rightly in the heavy metal stakes in 1978. Then he goes, oh yeah, there it is right at the top. Reviewers, Dave Ramsden, Ian Birch, Harry Doherty. So it's definitely Harry. There's not much to be said about these Aussie rockers that hasn't been said before, although I'll be the first to admit after this album that the weight of their rock and roll force was previously understated. As the title suggests, this album has pumping hard rock bulging from its sleeve. Yeah, it's all been done before, but it's always nice to hear that there are still very few good hard rock bands about. Harry's going to realize, like, as soon as the new wave of British heavy metal arrives, there's going to be lots and lots of good hard rock bands. But even at this time, Judas Priest, Rainbow, Thin Lizzy, UFO are all going. So there's lots out there. But it's all been done before. That's kind of makes sense because AC/DC is a really, really conservative meat and potatoes rock and roll, turn up the Rolling Stones kind of band, right? So yes, I mean, what you were hearing here is extremely conservative hard rock, right? As usual, Powerage was recorded by AC/DC in Australia under the production of Vanda and Young, and I'd suggest that next time they move to a different location with different producers. Interesting. There's not much wrong here, but the beefy snap of the rhythm section, essential for any heavy metal band, is badly lacking, and the drums are desperately low in the mix as the producers go for a strong guitar sound. Absolutely right, Harry. And as you know, for the next album, they went with Mutt Lange. They recorded it at the Roundhouse, I believe, right, in London. And they got much brighter, bolder, everything about it. The production, the confidence, the songwriting, and so yeah, they did change producers. I mean, this album has a very kind of warm. We all kind of talk about it as a Southern rock album. By the way, I still have copies of my AC/DC at 50 book, which is a big hardcover coffee table book. You can order that from me from martinpopoff.com. I sign them, send them out. So yes, I still have that that book available, where you go through 50 AC/DC career highlights. Amazing photography and layout done by the good staff at Motor Books on that as well. Okay, so let's see, what do we got next? So yeah, that's great. Yeah, the rhythm section, perhaps. I mean, it's kind of a dirty but analog kind of sound at the same time. It's definitely let your hair down compared to Let There Be Rock, which sounds hefty and corporate and confident and sizzling. It just sounds more expensive than Powerage does, but that gives Powerage its charm, right? Okay, the material is the usual grit and gut stuff that AC/DC projects so well. For all his silly stage mannerisms, little Angus Young lays down a hefty guitar lick in the studio and is mostly responsible for the success of this album. He turns riffs upside down, sideways, squeezing every last drop of life out of them. Yeah, some good writing there, and kind of a neat abstract way to describe what Angus does. That's pretty cool. We can't forget Malcolm as well, and we definitely can't forget Bon Scott, their contributions to the album. His contributions to Down Payment Blues, and especially humorous view of Higher Purchase, Riff Raff, a run around 500,000 riffs, and Kicked in the Teeth really aroused dormant heavy metal passions. Singer Bon Scott, too, has that vibrant slur in his vocal that characterizes perfectly the sleaziness of the music being played. Absolutely. Great job there, Harry. An album I'd unreservedly recommend to any fan of unpretentious grassroots hard rock, and certainly the best I've heard of that ilk in some considerable time. Excellent work. Yeah, good sturdy review and some good abstract looks at why, trying to grapple with the magic of this band. They're a hard band to describe because it is so conservatively put together. Everything about it, it's fairly simple music, right? So Harry does a good job of really kind of like trying to unearth what is so magical about AC/DC. So there you go. This has been another Reliving Old Reviews is a Useless Tool of Confusion. Please comment in the Facebook situation. Hit like if you like this. Subscribe. We're always trying to get our subscriber numbers up. And you can join our Patreon, and that gets you onto our panels. They're some of the greatest shows we've done. We've made many friends amongst you Patreons. Who have been on many different panels over time, but yeah, just simply be a Patreon and you can be part of our show. So thanks again. Go listen to some AC/DC Powerage.